We want to welcome the amazing Rev Judith Elia for being with us today. Thank you for being here. Thank you for speaking with us. She comes from the Unity tradition and is graciously always talks to our Unitarian Universalist tradition as well. And, you know, we love having you. We love seeing you. We love that you're here. Thank you so much. Take it away.
Thank you. And since I was last here, I started out doing editorials for the logo. And then our local paper kept asking me to do guest commentaries on different things. So I got myself in a lot of hot water writing about the Ukraine Russia situation. And it's one of the things that brought everything to a head for me here. And I decided that I was moving back to Florida and that I had completed my mission here in central coastal California. And so hopefully in a month or so, I'll be able to see you all in person. And I just want to say before I start my talk on the theme of Father's Day that talking to you, in an uncensored, free and really open-hearted kind of way, and the way that you have all received me has really been a blessing, a deep blessing in my life. So thank you for being who you are and for the incredible, expansive, spacious, inclusive space that this community holds for the world. I really appreciate it. So today, we honor the Father, the divine masculine, the men in our lives, our friends, husbands, partners, brothers, uncles, grandfathers, grandsons, sons, co-parents, step-parents, bosses, male co-workers, teachers, and mentors. All those who guide, provide, support, and protect us. Men and women who give birth to the divine masculine qualities of courage, persistence, and rational, logical thinking. We give thanks for everyone who has helped us to just do it. Keep walking, never give up, and fiercely protect that which we love. So the divine masculine is an archetypal energy, and it expresses certain qualities, ways of thinking, perception, determination, action, and what we might call left brain awareness. This does not mean that men and women can't be whole people, that we aren't all of those things, male and female and more. But this is just a way of looking at the archetype, at the image, at the symbol that we call masculine to help us to develop those qualities and to understand those qualities within ourselves. So the divine masculine, and we're talking about in its truest sense. We'll talk about the perversion of that also. But in its truest sense, teaches us to be responsible, to not run from commitments, to pay attention, observe, not get stuck in minefields of debate, but watch thoughts and reactions like a good scientist, like a good chemist watches the solution. The divine masculine is solution-oriented, wants to fix things, think through things, be grounded, rational, patient. And it's that part of us, men and women, when cultivated, becomes strong enough to tell the truth, to stand for the truth, to be brave enough to risk everything for something greater than your small self. In contrast, Men and women have been oppressed, suppressed, disempowered, raised to not make waves, avoid conflict. And by doing this, by having this suppressed energy, we end up dumping our frustrations on other people, our children, our coworkers, and those conflicts that we haven't resolved inside ourselves get projected onto others and come up in unpleasant, unhealthy ways. And the necessity of suppression or the psychological denial drains us of our energy and our health. We hold grudges, we keep score, we feel bitter. And really, there is nothing and no one against us except our own weakness, our own fear, our own inability to tell the truth, to express our doubt, to express our feelings truly. We fear truth-telling. We could be rejected, laughed at, ostracized, marginalized, bullied, or worse, imprisoned, go missing, be tortured. We carry these memories in our cells, in our collective unconscious, of witch burnings, KKK reigns of terror, of all kinds of psychic memories of these kinds of samskaras. That's the Sanskrit word for these inner wounds, these deep emotional scars that get triggered. And we hear them in our debates today. We hear the anger, the rage at other people's opinions. We hear underneath the rage, the fear. This is the perversion of the male archetype. This is what breeds authoritarianism, the oppressive, controlling, destructive energy of having people tell you, do what I say, not what I do, or do it because I said so. Maybe some of us have had that kind of dictator dad who rules harshly without reasonable understanding and compassion. The divine masculine takes risks to achieve a desired result, and that makes that part of us vulnerable. And so it makes it necessary to survive and to continue to act in that way for the divine masculine to have a divine feminine, to support and nurture him and that quality, whether it's man or a woman, through success and failure and mistakes. Shiva needs Shakti, right? The archetype of the male, Shiva, dancing the world into existence, needs Shakti, Durga, the divine feminine, to make the life force that is needed to continue to create this world. The divine masculine within needs the divine feminine within to achieve the balance between being out there and being worn out. We have to cultivate our energy through recreation, fun, through things that we love to do that make us feel okay about living, to avoid compassion fatigue and to avoid the tendency to become jaded and harden our hearts. How many of you have felt edgy lately? Worn out, exhausted, just thinking about all the problems of the world. So we have to honor that and come back to who we really are and make that our biggest project. Jesus said it well when he was talking to his disciples before he died. In his last testament, it's in the 16th chapter of John. He says, I've told you everything. I call you friends. You are not my servants. There's nothing I've kept for you. There's no secret teaching. I've told you all these things so that the joy that I have in me, you can have it in you. I want your joy to be full. That's why he did what he did and said what he said. His complete teaching rests on the capacity for us to be fully alive. Sat Chit Ananda. Truth, consciousness, bliss. One of my favorite contemporary teachers, Sadhguru, says, don't settle for peace, go for bliss. You're asking too little of yourself. Equanimity is not the answer. It's just a step. Go for the joy. And this is where the divine masculine can really help us, because the divine masculine is adventurous. Adventurous, that means something new, something exciting. The dad, centered in the divine masculine, comes up with all kinds of fun adventures for himself, his family, his divine feminine partner, and friends. And the importance of fun cannot be overstated because we need it to recreate ourselves. It's essential for balance, for health, and for fulfillment. Sun Bear, the great Native American medicine man, once said, it takes a lot of strength to be kind and gentle. And Jesus said it similarly. It doesn't take any effort at all to return hatred for hatred or anger for anger. It doesn't take a whole lot to love those that love you. But love your enemies. Bless those that curse you. What merit is it if you only love those that love and agree with you? Love those who are annoying to you. Love one another as I have loved you, he said. And he drew a circle in the sand. Let the one who is without sin throw the first stone. It's time to put down the stones. Step back from them. Soften the heart. Break through the edginess. Resist judgment. Stop being critical of one another. And be forgiving and giving like a good dad. Robert Holden's poem on love says this: where there is love, pain breathes, tears smile, hurt softens, guilt loses its edge, judgment forgets to judge, fear is no longer afraid, separation is over. Where there is love, you are there. Think about it. When you're really there in your whole self, feeling happy, content, fulfilled, your presence alone is love. And there's a really wonderful new book Mickey Singer just published called Living Untethered. It's the sequel to his The Untethered Soul, if any of you are familiar with that book. And one of the things that he says in that book is that there's this movie going on, and there are billions of years and multiplicities of causes and conditions for this that we're seeing. We can't affect that. We can only affect us. And how we show up in the world can then maybe affect in some small way the direction the movie will go. But trying to change the movie is what we mostly do. We're angry about the past, things that can't be changed at all. We're angry about what we think the future is going to be, and we're doing it right now. So we're tethered to our own ego. We're tethered to our opinions, our judgments, our blames. We're throwing stones at the mirror. And he gives a very wonderful example of these ancient teachings about, the causes and conditions of the turbulence of mind. He simply calls it snakes and butterflies. We're acting like this because of snakes and butterflies. Snakes are bad. Butterflies are good. But snakes are only bad when they do certain things, and butterflies are only good if they act like they're supposed to. And this is all us. It's all coming from us. One of my favorite archetypes for this understanding of maleness and the divine masculinity archetype is Joseph in the Bible. So Joseph, he can be found in the last 13 chapters of the book of Genesis, which literally means how it all began, right? So it's an important, what Joseph Campbell would call a first story, to understand this story of Joseph with the rainbow coat. And I don't have time to get into the whole metaphysics of this story, but let's just say Joseph, who represents this inclusivity of the rainbow coat, this dreamer who interprets people's dreams, this imagination capacity, he is thrown into a pit because of jealousy, greed, and selfishness of his brothers, who represent the perversion of the divine masculine. And they try to kill him, representing the violence of the perversion of the masculine energy. But he gets sold as a slave. They decide not to kill him. They decide to sell him into slavery. But he does not remain enslaved, because he persists in doing whatever he does with all his heart and the greatest diligence to whoever is before him that he can serve, no matter what situation he's in. He tries to be helpful. He gets thrown in jail because of false accusations and interprets the dreams of the people he's in jail with. The Pharaoh hears about it. He helps the Pharaoh out with a dream that saves the entire country, because he prophesied the famine so they could save food and they could help not just their nation, but everyone. His own brothers who try to kill him come, and they don't recognize him, of course. But instead of having him killed, he forgives them, asks them to go back and get his father so he can see him again, and tells them You may have meant it for evil, but the universe meant it for good, so that all these people can now live. The mature masculine is strong enough to be kind, gentle, and forgiving, diligent in work, generous in sharing, prosperous with others. The divine masculine protects and cares for the next generation, is resilient, humble, truthful, does not take offense or need retribution. These are essential, important virtues for all of us, men and women, to be cultivating today. Thank you for letting me share.